The situation around Taiwan is heating up. Taiwan has launched missiles toward China for the first time. Earlier, the armed forces of Taiwan conducted exercises aimed at practicing the destruction of Chinese forces that had invaded the island's territory. They carried out missile and artillery strikes to create the most realistic combat scenario possible. But today it emerged that the Taiwanese military for the first time conducted test launches of missiles toward China from mobile launchers. HIMARS, having practiced the tactics of repelling a potential attack from Beijing, delivered a preemptive strike. At this time, Beijing behaved extremely strangely. China suddenly cancelled 2 high-level dialogues with the European Union that were scheduled for this month amid growing disagreements between Brussels and China. But in this whole story, Taiwan itself today just shocked me to the extreme. It has become known that Taiwan is still openly selling advanced artificial intelligence chips to China. Those very chips that the Americans have forbidden their companies to sell to China, but Taiwan is selling these chips to the Chinese. And in fact, all this news is actually interconnected into a single knot. The negotiations with the European Union from Beijing, the military exercises, and the sale of advanced chips. So let's put this whole story together as one. I'm Alexei Pitchy. Let's discuss these topics together. But before we start, I ask you to subscribe to this YouTube channel, like this episode, leave any comment, and be sure to subscribe to my Telegram channel Pitchy News. The link is in the description of this video. There we publish breaking news as it comes in. So let's do a short summary of what's happening in and around the Indo-Pacific region. Today, American media probably shocked every resident of this region. It turned out that on Wednesday, June 10, Taiwanese military conducted test launches of missiles toward China from mobile HIMARS launchers, practicing tactics to repel a potential attack from Beijing. This was the first use, American HIMARS, and in this kind of format no less. That is, the missiles were actually flying toward China. The maneuvers took place on the second day of military exercises on Taiwan's west coast. This is the first time that missiles from the American HIMARS system have been launched toward the Taiwan Strait, which separates the self-governing island from mainland China. The military used training missiles with reduced range, which fell into the water near the coast. The military exercises involve practicing a scenario of responding to a possible invasion by China. 155mm howitzers were also used in the exercises. The goal was to test the ability to quickly deploy equipment and deliver precision strikes using a shoot-and-scoot tactic. And now, Taiwan's representative to the US, Alexander Yu, has confirmed that exercises were conducted using the recently acquired HIMARS systems from the United States. And when asked by journalists why the missiles were launched specifically toward China, he noted saying, "Listen, Taiwan is an island, and I quote, 'We can only fire to the east or to the west, so we chose the west.'" He said, "Listen, there's no hint here, don't get the wrong idea, not at all. It just so happened that we started launching missiles toward China." I should note that China considers Taiwan its, as they say, rebellious province and states that in the future the island should come under its control. Beijing almost daily sends military ships and planes into the airspace and waters near the island, but in recent years has been conducting large-scale military exercises around it. The United States does not officially recognize Taiwan's independence, however, it opposes any forcible change of its status and is a key supplier of weapons for its self-defense. Let me remind you that as recently as December 2025, the United States of America announced a large-scale arms package for Taiwan worth more than $11 billion, which included the sale of 82 additional HIMARS systems. In March 2026, the Parliament of Taiwan authorized the government to sign the corresponding agreement for the purchase of these weapons. But after the meeting between US President Donald Trump and Chinese leader Xi Jinping in Beijing in May of this year, the implementation of this arms package was effectively halted, and Trump urged Taiwan, as he put it, to cool down. He says, "You need to cool down a bit. What else do you want? How are you even doing? You have huge China. Look how huge China is, and you are so small. Did you decide to go to war?" He said if you start a war, America will have to go fight for you from 9,500 miles away. Like, we don't need that. But nevertheless, Taiwan has HIMARS systems in service, and now they have deployed them for the first time. Taiwan, many in China. But that's not all. We all know that China has never ruled out the use of force to establish control over the island, and its planes and ships are always somewhere nearby. That's why, during the exercises, Taiwanese troops used the Thunderbolt 2000 missile systems developed on the island, which are mounted on trucks. These systems were then followed by American Paladin howitzers, artillery, and mortars to create a kill zone that could potentially stop an amphibious assault. And, importantly, the Taiwanese military once again emphasized that the Thunderbolt 2000 system was used for the first time in 7 years. But against the backdrop of military exercises, Taiwan is taking actions that are very difficult to explain. All of this looks very strange. Did you know that in practice, Taiwan still hasn't introduced export control restrictions, and that's why Chinese companies are openly purchasing ready-made server systems with artificial intelligence chips on the island that US authorities do not allow to be shipped to China? So the US imposed sanctions and blocked the sale of these chips to China from American companies, but China is buying this product from Taiwan. Formally, American laws don't actually prevent the supply of AI chips to China at all, although the relevant warnings to local companies are made, mostly just to create the appearance of solidarity with the US authorities. So they say, well, it's undesirable. We're not banning it, of course, but it's undesirable. And only now, under pressure from their American colleagues, the authorities in Taiwan are preparing to formalize these restrictions at the legislative level. Just for context. Only last year, only last year, the Taiwanese authorities added the Chinese companies Huawei and SMIC to the list of entities that Taiwanese businesses are discouraged from interacting with. Once again, not banned, but undesirable. At the same time, all other companies from China have formally retained the right to purchase products from Taiwan, even when it comes to the most advanced AI chips. And now the authorities in Taiwan are considering the possibility of introducing a screening system for all Chinese chip buyers based on American export control regulations. But there is hope that Taiwan will finally close this loophole for Chinese buyers. But I was shocked to learn that the Taiwanese are making quite a profit from this, and they continue to sell advanced chips to China. And China's confrontation with the West is escalating on other issues as well. The Financial Times reports that China suddenly cancelled 2 high-level dialogues with the European Union that were scheduled for this month, amid growing disagreements between Brussels and China. This concerns a ministerial-level meeting on digital issues in Beijing, as well as a separate dialogue involving the deputy head of the EU diplomatic service, Olaf Skog. According to sources, the Chinese side cancelled the meeting at the last moment without providing any official explanation. And here I should note that in diplomacy, this kind of practice is used by parties as a political signal of dissatisfaction. That is, they can't just come and say that they are unhappy with such a decision. That's why they cancel the meeting. In diplomatic language, everyone knows the Chinese are dissatisfied. So they will keep cancelling these meetings until we signal some willingness to agree. And in recent months, tensions between the EU and China have increased amid trade disputes and restrictions on Chinese exports, and the discussion of new European measures in the field of industrial and technological policy. In particular, Beijing is actively lobbying against the proposed EU law on accelerating industrial development, which provides for a ban on certain Chinese goods in public procurement and restrictions on the acquisition of European companies. The European Commission also recently introduced an update to cybersecurity legislation, which provides for the exclusion of Chinese companies, such as Huawei, from telecommunications networks and energy infrastructure, including solar energy systems. That is, Europe is also trying to distance itself. And let me repeat once again, Taiwan still sells microchips to China. Nevertheless, they are conducting these kinds of military exercises, directing missiles toward China all the same. I'll leave it at that for now. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next episode. Give it a like, and share your opinions and conclusions in the comments. That's all for now. Take care of yourselves. Goodbye, everyone.